Hello everyone. If you love touching animal stories and want to follow the inspiring journey of these adorable friends, don't forget to hit the subscribe button now so you won't miss any of our videos. Now, let's dive into today's emotional story. On a dusty roadside, under the scorching sun and surrounded by garbage and rubble, lay a fragile mother dog. Her ribs were visible through her thin fur, and her eyes were sunken but alive with fierce determination. Her name wasn't Lisa back then. She had no name, no home, and no one. But she had something more powerful, a mother's love. Around her nestled 6 tiny puppies, just weeks old. They whimpered softly, their bodies pressed close for warmth and safety. Every ounce of nourishment that entered her body went straight to her milk, and there was barely enough of that. The mother dog hadn't eaten properly in days, but she refused to leave her puppies even for a moment. Every time she ventured a few steps to search for scraps, she kept glancing back, terrified of what might happen in her absence. As the days passed, her strength dwindled. The pups cried more often, their tiny bellies empty, their energy fading. She did the only thing she could. She began to beg, not with words but with her eyes. Whenever a passerby appeared, the mother dog would step onto the path, wagging her tail weakly, lowering her head, and letting out soft, pleading whimpers. She cried, not because she was in pain, but because she needed someone, anyone, to notice her children, to save them from the cruel fate looming ahead. Most people passed by, pretending not to see. Some hurried away, some turned their heads, afraid to feel the weight of her desperation. Her cries echoed into the void, unanswered, until one day a woman stopped. She was just out for a walk, lost in her own thoughts, when she saw the mother dog's eyes. They were glassy, pleading, full of pain, but still hopeful. The woman froze. In that moment, time slowed. She dropped to her knees, and the dog, startled but too desperate to run, watched her closely. Slowly, the woman reached into her bag and pulled out a sandwich. She broke it apart and placed the pieces near the mother dog. Cautiously, the dog sniffed, then took a few bites but didn't eat it all. Instead, she carried some back to her puppies. The woman followed and saw them. 6 tiny, frail bodies trying to suckle but barely able to move. Tears filled her eyes. She knew this wasn't a situation she could walk away from. That day, she made a decision. She returned with a car and a crate, gently coaxing the mother dog and her pups inside. Lisa, though frightened, didn't fight. Her instinct told her this was the moment she had prayed for. A miracle. At the veterinary clinic, reality hit hard. The puppies were dangerously malnourished and needed immediate care. The mother dog, now named Lisa, was severely dehydrated and close to collapsing. The vet worked tirelessly, administering fluids and checking every pup. One of the puppies had an infection and needed antibiotics right away. Lisa remained silent through it all. Her eyes never left her babies. Over the next few days, Lisa and her pups stayed at the clinic. The staff fell in love with them. Lisa, though timid, began to trust. She allowed people to touch her, to feed her, and to care for her babies. For the first time, she didn't have to fight alone. The puppies began to thrive. Their fur filled in, their eyes opened wider, and they learned to bark, to stumble around on chubby legs, and to play. Lisa watched them, her heart full. Her body, though still weak, began to recover too, with proper food, medicine, and most importantly, love. Weeks passed, and the transformation was remarkable. Lisa was no longer the desperate, hollow-eyed dog by the roadside. She was strong, healthy, and proud. Her puppies, Max, Bella, Daisy, Rocky, Luna, and Charlie, had grown into curious, joyful little beings, full of life. And then came the next chapter, finding homes. Thanks to the rescuers' efforts and the power of social media, Lisa's story spread. Applications poured in from families who had seen the video and wanted to give one of the puppies a forever home. Each pup was adopted by kind, loving people who promised to continue their journey of healing. But Lisa, she had already found her home, with the woman who had stopped that day on the roadside. The woman who had given Lisa her name had also given her a second chance. And Lisa gave her something in return. a sense of purpose, a companionship built not just on loyalty, but on shared trust and silent understanding. Today, Lisa lives in a cozy home with a garden, a warm bed, and a heart full of peace. She no longer begs. She no longer cries. Instead, she runs. She plays. She rests with her head on her rescuer's lap, her eyes closed, finally able to sleep without fear. Her story reminds us that sometimes all it takes to change a life is to stop, see, and care. Red Heart, if Lisa's story touched your heart, please support our channel Touching Animal Stories by liking this video, leaving a kind comment, and subscribing. Your support helps us share more stories of hope, love, and second chances. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.